Hello, everyone, and welcome to Canadians with Disabilities and Their Allies. My name is Brent Frain. I'm the host. And also, this show is known as PWD Allies Podcast, available on Spotify or your favorite app. Today, I have Joseph Vander Meer joining me today, and we're going to be talking about the PBO report. This is going to be great for those that are interested in hearing what's going on. Joseph, welcome very much for joining me.
Our resident numbers guy for people that don't know, resident numbers guy.
Yes. And just for anybody who is ever curious or first tuning into these broadcasts, no, I am not a government official. You can actually trust what I say.
Yeah, there we are. He's the first guy. He's the guy.
Here we go, folks. We're going to try to sum this up very quickly for people because there's a lot of information to take in, and I want to be able to explain it properly for people. The Canada Disability Benefit became law on June 22nd, 2023. It states that within a year, the Canadian government needs to be able to assess and come up with the regulations in regards to the Canada Disability Benefit and actually putting it out there. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to start paying people within a year. That means that they have to have the regulations within a year, right? Mm-hmm. So they have started their engagement process. They're now at their first, what they call their first stage, or their where they've opened the Canada Disability Benefit Engagement Tool, which is a portal where you can give your information, what you want to see in the Canada Disability Benefit. Now, to go along with this, the Parliamentary Budget Officer, this is like the independent part of the government where they're not party affiliated. They kind of like say, okay, this is how much this program is going to cost because this is what you put in the legislation. Mm-hmm. So they have estimated that the cost of a Canada Disability Benefit for 2024 is going to be between $2 and $20 billion, depending on what scenario. Now, just like GLBI, this PBO has given 3 scenarios in which to have the disability benefit.
Okay, but Joseph, I want to stop you right there already. Actually, I want to back up the train a little bit because you said that the government has until they have 1 year to have the regulation in place, right? You said that.
Well, yeah, like they're supposed to have the regulations within a year, right?
Yeah. So
we've been told 18 to 24 months by the time people actually start seeing the money.
So my question is, if they have to have the window of 1 year to have the regulation or in place, is there how much wiggle room? Like, can they just indefinitely keep dragging their feet once they have the regulation, or is there?
No. They can't just indefinitely drag their feet. This has actually become law that they have to get this done. So whatever they're going to come up with, they got to come up with it in that time frame. It doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect or beautiful.
Right. And I guess that's why the call for DERB is so badly needed. It's
most definitely.
It's a crisis, and while they drag their feet until they implement the actual dollar amount for the CDB and some people are calling for like 2024, 2025, possibly into 2025, which I know people listening to this be like, what?
I just wonder how much waffle room or wiggle room they're going to give themselves. you know.
Well, the PBO, when they came up with their estimates, they did estimate based on it would start January 1st. So
Okay.
Of what year?
they're optimistic. They're way more optimistic than it's actually going to happen. But what they did was they started calculating
2024, or let's just
For 2025?
2024. Yeah,
2024. That is optimistic. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
very
that's optimistic, but that's because they're trying to show how much money it would cost this fiscal year,
Okay.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So they're like, okay, January to June, how much would it cost? And
Mhm.
so it's really half of what it really would cost, right? Because it's only 6 months.
Right.
Now, I need to give you guys a couple of points here. One, this report does not think of it as a monthly benefit.
Hmm.
Oh,
It thinks of it in a yearly amount. There is no monthly amounts broken down.
okay.
It's not taking into consideration that your income may change each month to month depending on the reporting, right? Because the regulations aren't there. They don't know if it's going to be monthly reporting. They don't know if it's going to be based on your taxes, so the PBO can only give so much information. So they've decided that this is going to be a yearly amount in their estimates. Okay. Their estimates have 3 scenarios. The first one is the biggest one. We'll get back to that. Okay.
Again, sorry, Joseph. I just want to interrupt you again. Before you get started on the scenarios, just for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, is now what was I going to say now? I'm terrible. I interrupted and I don't know what I was going to say.
Let me guess. You're going to ask who is going to be eligible.
Yeah, that was one thing, but that wasn't.
That's kind of a question, right? That maybe I should answer first.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The tool that the PBO has set up on their website will show you based on what you put in there, based on the clawbacks, the family size, the income, what you think should be the clawback or the amount, right? They have like a kind of a neat little tool on there that you can play around with, and it'll tell you how much the CDB would cost, right?
Okay.
But basically, it depends. Is it going to be you can collect the CDB and the disability tax credit, or is it going to eliminate the disability tax credit, or can you only do one or the other?
That's
another thing.
That's what my question was going to be. That's what my question was going to be. Are we for sure? Do we for sure know that this?
No, we don't know for sure.
No, but what my question was is, do we know for sure if this is for sure going to be a top up?
It's a top up. It's not a top up.
It's a top up for sure. Like, it's not a replacement, right? It's a top up.
It's not a replacement. It says it right in there. This is not a replacement for social assistance. This is a top up to get you. And by the way, the report doesn't say it. They're targeting to the market basket measure of each province.
Right.
And the report is based on the capital city of each province.
Okay.
Here's a question for you, Joseph, that I get a lot of questions about. Is that a disabled person in a province in Canada, if they do not, and which that's going to really clarify, if they do not have the disability tax credit, DTC, but they're only getting provincial assistance, disability assistance, will they be qualified to get the new Canada disability benefit when it rolls out?
That is unknown, and that is why the tool and the PBO report have either or scenarios.
Okay.
That's where we're going to get to with the scenario numbers. 2 and 3 depend if they're going to keep the DTC or not.
Okay.
And scenario 1 is if they can keep both.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So scenario 1's the biggest.
That's the most expensive one. Most expensive one then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So scenario 2. The maximum CDB is equal to the gap between social assistance and the poverty threshold of that province, that capital city of that province, or the metropolitan, like the census area, because it does say in the report, I think 38 different MBMs.
Oh, wow.
but they use the capital city of each province or territory.
Okay. So
Okay.
it's like example where I am. I'm in the capital city
Yeah,
right now.
it's not completely detailed, right? Like this doesn't
No.
break it down and say, oh, people in Alberta are going to get this and people in New Brunswick are going to get that. But it does say they're going to get different.
Right. Different amounts based on
their poverty level of their province or territory, right? So scenario 2 is clawed back with family net income.
Okay.
This is important. The reason why it's only $2 billion is because if you live with a spouse or a child or a grandchild or a grandparent that has income in the census family home, all of a sudden their income counts. And that's the threshold thing that the clawback we don't like. We don't want family income accounted for it. But that's why scenario 2 is so cheap.
We have somebody in chat already, Mr. AI, and he's wondering, I mean, I can put a link in, I told him I could put a link in the description after we post this video, but can you verbally tell people that are watching right now where they can go to see the published report?
Yeah, the PBO website. So you just want to go to PBO DB. Sorry. It's hard to pronounce because all the letters sound similar. Okay.
Okay.
You want to go to the Office of the Parliamentary Budget Officer website. Okay. Now you can go to derb.ca and you can click on the blue little icon I added to the website earlier.
That's even easier. Yeah. That's even easier. So maybe we'll use that.
It is on derb.ca. It's right. It is on the home page, and it is the blue links that are just underneath the big banner. Okay.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, we'll use that link then. I'll put that link at the bottom.
Disability benefit tool. It's right there.
Okay.
So in this summary, right, in these scenarios, so scenario 2, it considers the family net income, but it also considers can claim either the disability tax credit or the Canada Disability Benefit. That's why it's so cheap. That's why it's only $2 billion.
Yeah.
Right.
It helps 674,000 people, I believe.
Yeah, instead of 1.5 or 1.6 million. Yeah.
1.4 million is the highest scenario.
It's gone down.
1.4 million. It's actually 1.391, I believe. I'm looking for the actual fact because I like to be precise. 2.1 to 20.5 billion. And keep in mind, they're using 2017 figures for social assistance.
Oh, wow. That is so outdated.
So I don't know if you can easily answer
when they say it's a cost, it's going to be way more. It's going to be way more, like billions of dollars more. Why? Because they're using numbers that are from 2017.
Wow. So we're already, I mean, we're in 2023, so that's 6 years old. And by the time they come up, it'll be 7 years old.
So I don't know if you can easily answer this question or not, then Joseph. You've mentioned the 3 scenarios, and in each scenario, like the first scenario is the most amount of people that's being helped.
Yeah, the first scenario is it's clawed back on your individual net income. You can qualify for DTC or CDB or both. And your take-up is based on your self-reported disability status.
Okay.
So not the Canada Disability Benefit. You have to qualify for the Canada Disability Benefit to get the CDB.
Yeah, I guess that's my question is that so
that's where I'm getting to with scenario 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say is like so is there scenarios
where scenario 2 and scenario 3 are based on disability tax credit qualifying you to get the Canada Disability Benefit.
So there is going to be situations where people with disabilities are going to be actually disqualified outright, even though they're disabled?
Well, we don't know. We have not done the final regulations yet, right?
Yeah, because
Now, the
that's my
biggest
question.
scenario is the one where it's
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
self-reported.
right,
Everybody that's on current social assistance is going to qualify for it. We're going
right.
to top you up from your social assistance amount to the poverty line, which is going to be market basket measure. So they're talking 20 billion to get it done now and get people up to poverty.
Right.
But
Right.
those are also using 2017 social
Outdated
assistance
numbers.
statistics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's two sayings that there's the one saying like nothing about us without us is one, of course.
Oh,
That's
I hate that
Oh,
saying.
well,
I
I mean, okay, but that's one, and then the other one is no one left behind is another one, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know.
Another one.
And-
Why even say them if you know that you have programs that are still pending to help them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
and that's why
so
dirt.
that's
All
my-
you're doing is doing this.
Yeah.
You're
and
just
that's why
doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we've been calling for DERB to help now. And meanwhile, the finance minister, oh, yeah. It's like like they say, right behind me is the little pink unicorn.
So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical about the whole CDB is that depending on the scenario, I'm wondering is there going to be situations where people are disabled,
That's
And,
what I was.
and also, I may
they're
want to
going
point out
to
that
say sorry you don't qualify.
That's why my
I
concern.
also want to point out that scenario 2 is also taxable.
Okay, good
So
to know.
not only is it only cost $2 billion, but they're going to tax it.
So they get the
Now,
money
is that
back.
not a
They get the money
slap
back.
in the face.
Yeah.
Is that not just a slap in the face? That's like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to make you wait 3 years for the benefit. We're
Yeah.
going to string you along while your provinces freeze rates because they think we're going to help you. And
Yeah.
then we're going to give you the smallest benefit with the highest clawback. And we're going to make it taxable. Oh, and it's going to be based on your family income. How about we just hand you made?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because by the time they tax all that up, what are you going to have? Well, I got a few dollars.
Oh, they might as well call scenario 2 the pathway to MAID. They might as well. And you know what? I sincerely hope Justin Trudeau, or I mean Pierre Poilievre, if you're listening to me today, you better be calling scenario 2 the pathway to MAID, because that's going to be definitely the way it's going to be called to the disability community. Because the scenario 2 it's based on the market basket measure. It's based on family income. You can only claim one of the DTC, or it's based on the DTC intake, and it's taxable. Are you giving me a fucking break? If disability WP endorses scenario 2, I'm going to
It's
that'll be
basically
the first one that I block.
It's basically
on
the
Twitter.
minimum of the minimum. Then, yeah.
That's
the minimum of the minimum. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like you might as well just hand him a $500 check and tell him just go away.
So which scenario, Joseph, would be ultimately the better of the
Ultimately, scenario 1. Which one do I think the government's going to go with? Is obviously 2. They're obviously setting it up to be right down the middle. Consider this. They didn't put it as the smallest scenario because they don't want the media to catch that. They leave it as the middle one where they hope that they're just going to pass it by. And I can just see the writing on the wall. Like, this Canada Disability Benefit has just strung the disability community along. And unless the government really listens to the input of everyday Canadians in this regulations, it's going to miraculously fail society. When it comes time to the baby boomers retiring, and the next generation starting to retire, and all of a sudden, retirement numbers are through the roof in Canada, and working age population is tanked, and they're wondering what went wrong, and it's going to be too little, too late at that point.
It sounds like kind of a Goldilocks scenario where they're putting that one right in the middle of the scenario 2 of like, this one is just right, because not only do we give do we give it to you, but we can claw it back, and we can claw back the tax on it.
Yeah.
Do I believe that they might go with scenario 3? They might. They might go with scenario 3 with a 50% garnishment. If they go
Okay.
with a 50% clawback with the scenario 3, I would not be surprised, because
Yeah.
that would be incredibly cheap for the government to run. Incredibly cheap.
So
And
that's like what's behind door number 1, folks. Door number 2, door number 3. Oh, which door did you choose? Oh,
so if scenario 2
and
is
the reason why I say scenario 3 is because I know that from reading it here in their charts, scenario 3 gives the government the biggest amount of money back to save. And that is because it considers the highest amount of people switching off of the disability tax credit, right? And it says that they could save by 28, 29, they could save about $140 million a year.
Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot then, Joseph. So you said scenario 2 is the road to MAID.
Yeah.
So if you were going to label scenario 1 and scenario 3 with catchphrase terms, what would you call scenario 1 and scenario 3? If scenario 2 is the road to MAID,
scenario 2 is the pathway to MAID.
Yeah.
Scenario 2 is the pathway to MAID because it's going to make disabled Canadians much more depressed. It's going to cause more domestic violence. It's going to cause more poverty. It's going to cause more garnishments against working age population, which in turn is going to cause more depression because less people are going to want to be with a person that is disabled or, be associated with them, even family wise. I mean, you guys in the disabled community know what it's like for your family to turn on you because you're on social assistance and they just don't want to help you out anymore and they just don't want to hear it. And it can be a very bad thing. And when we're talking about hundreds of thousands to over a million people, almost 1.5 million, you're talking a big difference. So scenario 2, pathway to MAID. Scenario 3, anti-homelessness, maybe. That's about it. Really, they're really only trying to make sure you're not going to go homeless. They're really not trying to make sure that you're going to succeed.
But it's just kind of the bare minimum again. It's just
it's almost like the bare minimum, but it's a step above, right? Like it's like okay, this one maybe the opposition might not eat us alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then scenario 1, well, I call that the pathway to success. Really.
Yeah.
With scenario 1, take a look at the difference of it. It's not 2.1. It's not 3.3, by the way, is scenario 2. It's 20.1.
Oh, okay. So
there is a massive difference between scenario 2, 3, and 1.
Just
massive difference.
From the budget, you mean, just budget wise.
It's 276,000 or 358,000 or 1,371,000.
I would be completely shocked if they went with scenario 1. I would be, just really shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked if, I would not be shocked if they went with scenario 2. It would not shock me if they went with scenario 3.
Yeah,
it would shock me if they went with scenario 1. Because you have to keep in mind, scenario 1 at this point, for that many disabled Canadians, $20 billion for 1.4. Okay?
Yeah.
Basic income was not only 90 billion, so 4.5 times the size, but it helped over 8 billion people, so more than 4.5 times the amount of people. It helped all of those disabled Canadians, and it helped more.
Yeah. But if they go 2, they don't have to help as many at all, or 3. Well, yeah.
Now, the average benefit in scenario 2 is 7,600. The average in scenario 3 is 9,200. The average in scenario 1 is 14,500.
Right.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
The reason why they consider those averages much higher in scenario 1 is because you're also qualifying for your disability tax credit.
Okay.
Wow.
It's not all about the CDB. It's about how it interacts with the provinces and how it interacts with the disability tax credit that's going to be most important, because that's going to make the difference of billions of dollars a year in our disabled community. And it's not just the disabled community. No offense. But
So
the average working Canadian, if you're not listening to this and realizing that every dollar a disabled Canadian spends in the Canadian economy does help you in some way.
Yeah, it goes
It
back.
helps either, the income taxes, the property taxes, the city taxes, the income
Yeah.
taxes, investment, no offense, but your city does invest in your disabled people for sidewalks, for infrastructure, for trains, for this and that. So when you sit there and you smack a disabled person down for being on social assistance, remember that disabled person also fought for their rights. So you have the little tactile strip at your GO station platform, so you don't fall into the train tracks.
right,
That's-
yeah.
But they don't realize that this is about them and their future too.
Yeah.
And I mean, you give a disabled person money in whatever province they live in, whatever community they live in that province, they put the money back into that community. I mean, and every disabled person is a taxpayer, however the government may look at it or not, because everyone is a taxpayer regardless. When they have their hydro,
definitely, even undocumented people, even visitors to this country, tourists are taxpayers.
yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
they just don't
hydro,
consistently tax pay.
it's like when you got your hydro bill, you pay tax. You pay
Yeah.
tax. Like, so everybody pays tax one way or another.
I wanted to back up the train again one more time, because we're talking about a top up here.
Yeah.
We've established that. So what I'm wondering is, do they set the top up higher depending on the scenario? Like, do they set the upper limit higher?
No.
Or
They do have another thing in here. They do have another thing in here where I believe, it may be scenario one. Actually, I think you're right. Hold on.
Because
one.
the dollar value is higher.
Mhm.
In the first scenario, the dollar.
They mentioned about the extra 30% it would cost for a disabled person over the regular poverty line. Let me make sure I got this right, because I've only read through this like once or twice.
Okay.
Hold on a sec.
Yeah, no problem.
But I remember them when I read through it, they said that because of remember how a lot of people said that it would cost more to be disabled than it does to be, a normal working class citizen, right? Well, they did take that into account. So hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they actually listen to impact statements. Wow,
amazing. And of course,
clawback rates that they were using was 50% income for a single individual, or 25% for the common law or married person.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I still have a question, because
there's a lower clawback for the spouse. Lower clawback for the spouse, which is good. They're listening to that, right?
Yeah.
The 30% increase.
Yeah. So my question would be, like, if they're going to have the higher dollar amount.
Scenario one has the higher 30% based on the scenario one is higher because it has the extra 30% for being disabled and the extra cost of being disabled.
Right. Okay.
So you should have a higher dollar amount at the end of the day then.
One would think.
So instead of the 14,000, it's actually 22,701.
Okay.
So what are the dollar figures? Are they kind of looking at, Joseph? Have you come up with that? Or like as a top up, say magically that the government actually, didn't use pink unicorns and actually did the right thing and actually went with scenario one, and everyone would be like, oh my God, I would be like saying, hey, crack open a bubbly water or something like that. I don't know.
So they're using statistics that say the lowest province collects as a single unattached single person. Okay. The lowest province is New Brunswick, that they get 10,884.
That's
right.
Terrible.
Normally now.
That's
terrible. Now. Okay.
Yeah. That's disgusting.
So
it is.
When we're saying the 14,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that 14,000 would be the maximum in scenario one for New Brunswick.
Is that 14,000 in total, like provincial Or is that like with the top up including?
No, that's the top up on
That's the
top
top
of the
up.
provincial. So
Oh, okay.
they're
So it's
aiming for
24.
around 28,000.
Right.
Okay, so they would get that 10,000 plus the 14, so it'd be like 24.
So
Yeah,
if they go scenario one,
yeah,
they're aiming for people to be at about 28,000 a year
28. Okay, okay,
Right.
for a single
right.
unattached disabled Canadian
Yeah,
that is in New Brunswick or anywhere else would be around 28,000 based on your market basket measure,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Well, 23.
And that's based at 2017 level dollar amounts. Yeah.
No, I think they're using the population of 2017.
Oh,
So
Oh.
I'm gonna ask a
Because
really
because they're talking about Maitre's 2023 welfare report. They use part of that.
oh, did they?
They're
Okay.
talking about 2017 population
Oh,
numbers
the
is the
yeah.
276,000 to 1.4 million. We could, if they went scenario one and it was and they redid all the population and the regulations were really in favor of people with disabilities, this
Yeah.
could reach 3 million Canadians.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah, and in reality, there would probably it was over 3 million Canadians with disabilities.
Joseph, I'm going to ask a really stupid question, but I'm going to assume that there's other people that are stupid like me and want to ask the same stupid question. Is what's to stop then provinces like New Brunswick to continue doing the stupid thing and saying only 10,000? Like maybe Toronto or sorry, Ontario and maybe BC will all of a sudden go, well, now we're going to sink everything down to $8,000.
Let me guess. You're worried about the provinces just holding the rates down and saying,
yeah,
we'll
they'll like suppress everything down.
Yeah,
yes. What's to stop the provinces from doing that?
Probably during these negotiations with the provinces, the federal government is going to say to them, well, you know what? You really need to index your social assistance to inflation.
Yeah.
And then the federal government will use that to keep social assistance rates up. But no, there's nothing forcing the provinces from raising their rates, and there's nothing forcing them from changing their legislation later to reduce their raises. There's nothing stopping them, and provinces like Ontario right now with the current government, where they're not in favor of helping social assistance recipients, it's going to make them worse. They're going to stagnate those rates, which will in turn, as inflation keeps going, will raise the CDB in those provinces to the point where it won't be sustainable later on. And eventually 10, 20 years from now, we'll be sitting here redoing a new program.
So the federal government's basically going to slap.
They're going to end up paying for it. Yeah,
everybody's going to get a wet noodle. Say, I'm going to slap you with a wet noodle, and that's about it, right?
Yeah, a little carrot here.
And then the federal government will hold the Canada Social Transfer as federal carrot for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So then the provinces say, oh, well, we're not getting a transfer payment. So yeah, that gives us a reason to suppress the income down. But hey, we're going to tie it to inflation, but there's no increase above that inflation though.
My one big
wow.
Like I said, I'm very pessimistic about the CDB. I mean, I still have a lot of pessimism. But my one big hope from the beginning, and I mean, it's only a hope, right? It's not like everybody thinks, or not everybody, but there's some people that when I was on Twitter going, well, why are you trumpeting the CDB so much? And it's not so much that I was trumpeting the CDB. It's just that I hoped it was going to be good. And one of the reasons why I hoped it was going to be good is I thought, well, if the federal government releases the CDB, it's going to force, this is my hope speaking, it's going to force the provincial governments to end the clawbacks. That was my one hope, is because I can't.
Oh, no, there's no end to clawbacks. This one's full of them.
Yeah, well, there you go.
We were hoping that,
that's my hope dashed then. That's my hope dashed.
We were hoping that the pink unicorns would stop running amok across the country, but it looks like there's a lot of holes in the CDB, and that's why we kept pushing hard. I mean, across the country, and we still are. I know the federal government's just kicking and screaming and hollering and biting and punching, and just like hissing and no for DERB. No, we can't help the disabled people.
But it kind of pisses me off. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, it kind of pisses me off that the federal government then is basically going to be tolerating bad behavior from the provincial governments. Like why is that an okay thing? Where you're going to have this kind of this permissive parent. You can think about it as this permissive parent, like, it's okay, little children, you can screw off and do whatever you want. I'll be the permissive parent, and you can kind of like f people over. It doesn't matter.
Well, the way I look at it, Neil, is that it doesn't affect the government's life. Like, it doesn't affect them. Like, they just basically try to call the shots, right? So it's like, we push out DERB. We want, like, to help people. No. Why? It doesn't affect me. I'm just the policy maker. It doesn't affect my life. But if it affected their life, trust me, they'd be getting that out really, really quick. Yeah, it's like the old welfare challenge. Remember, they stopped doing.
They stopped doing it because it was too dangerous.
Their lives. They said, "Oh my God, they were becoming sick."
Yeah.
That's why they stopped doing that.
And again, my hope for this whole thing is that you would hope that it would generate more accountability.
One would think
the CDB would generate more accountability on the part of the provinces, but maybe the provinces won't care. I don't know. I mean, you'd hope.
We need DERB now.
Yeah.
And DERB's not going away, people. DERB, we're going to keep on pumping DERB back out until the government goes blue in the face.
Yeah.
What I would like to know is, how are they ever going to calculate what it's going to cost for the Northwest Territories? It's not in there. It's just like basic income. It's not in there because there's no MBM for the territories.
There isn't.
Oh, right.
I didn't know that. Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
Oh.
So
maybe they're going to use Pink Unicorn math.
Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, Labrador. There is no MBM region.
But Joseph, maybe they forgot that they're part of Canada? Maybe up there, that's why they forgot.
Just the way it's calculated.
Oh, they must have forgot.
Maybe those just become part of Alaska, and then
I guess maybe they're not part of those territories, not part of Canada anymore. Maybe that's why they're not included.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they have to
wait a sec. Hold on.
Somebody made a big boo-boo there, I guess. Whoops. Oops.
Really? Come on, PBO. They used an old chart.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
From what year?
Somebody's out of whack there.
2020, and I got the 2022 market basket measures right here. They didn't even use the right market basket measures.
Wow. Oh dear. Oh gosh.
Oh wow.
What could go wrong? I mean, really? Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And people wonder why we have so little faith in our federal government, right?
Yeah. Say, oops, did we do wrong? Yeah. I should have used that blue marker, but I used an orange one, or I used it was a gray one, wasn't it? It was grayed out.
How long did it take you to find the proper chart, Joseph?
A few seconds.
A few seconds.
Well, no, like I'm looking at
3 years, folks.
Let me make sure this is the right one. Hold on.
1, 2, 3 years.
So let's see here. So the one that they used was the market basket measure thresholds for economic families and persons not in economic families 2020.
Oh.
I found market basket measure thresholds for the reference family by market basket measure region, component, and base year.
He's got it. He knows his stuff, everyone. I mean, it's amazing.
I'm wondering what component means.
How fast that he can find that information.
I'm wondering why.
Oh, because this is just, well, no, because I could see this, like Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, their market basket measure for this year is 66,991.
So I'm wondering why the federal government just doesn't hire you, Joseph.
Because I'll never work for the government. And those are 2018 dollars, by the way.
Okay.
So when I say that yellow knife, oh my God, yellow life. I'm sorry, folks.
It almost seems that way, right? I mean,
Yellow knife, Northwest Territories, one of the most farthest reaching spots of our country, where it is so expensive to live that a can of like Maxwell House coffee costs like $40 to buy a can of coffee.
Oh,
right?
wow.
It's made of gold.
When you see some of those pictures online of like a ham or a turkey that's blown out of proportion, it's probably coming from up there because it costs everything to get everything up there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
You got to bring it up.
a market basket measure of Yellowknife is one of the highest in the countries. I cannot pronounce that city name. Or that territory name. I just can't pronounce it. DEHCHO. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, and I apologize. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
They
that's
have
fair.
the highest.
Yeah.
$69,657 for their poverty line.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
That's insane.
Huge.
That's a family of four. Right? We have to
Still,
keep that
that's
in mind.
high. That's high.
Wow, still. That's
But if I can find those details in a few minutes, why couldn't we figure out what it's going to do for the province or for the territories? The territories, I mean, come on. If you are disabled and you live in the territories, do you really think you have access to your doctor? Do you really think you have access to medical care? Do you really think you have access to fresh food? Do you really think you have access to a good job? Come on. They should be the first ones helped.
exactly.
Yeah. And this isn't another reason why you always say, Brent, people with disabilities should be able to live in the communities they want. Because
they should be able to live and be in the community that they choose to do so. I mean, autonomy. That's why autonomy is so strong, and the government need to wake up and smell the $40 coffee can.
I'm sorry. I need to make you cry now. I was wrong. The highest market basket measure is SAHTU, Northwest Territories. SAHTU. Okay? SAHTU, Northwest Territories. $81,150.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
now that can of coffee is now going to cost even more than 40. It's going to be probably even $60.
So could you imagine if this Canada Disability Benefit kicks in and the Northwest Territories got to have this? There are some people up there who are going to get $40,000 in CDB.
Yeah.
Jeez.
No, they won't. Of course, they're going to put a maximum in there.
Oh, of course they will.
Of course, they're going to put a maximum in there.
They'll probably go with scenario 2 on that one. Yeah.
Or they'll just give them to one of the rates from one of the provinces and say, "Oh, sorry, we don't have the totals."
Yeah. Or what they'll say is, "Oh, well, you choose to live up there. You need to move. You need to move to another location." That's what they used to say here in BC. Oh, you can't afford to live here? Move up north.
Move then.
That's my
Pay
point.
me to move.
Yeah, that's my point, Brent. Are they is the BC government gonna like force everybody with disabilities to move to Chilliwack? And then it's like, it's not our fault that you have no transportation out in Chilliwack. There's no bus service. There's no doctors. There's no grocery stores.
But it's one of the failings of this program already is that they're already saying they're going to be basing it on the market basket measure, which means that every area is a different amount. And what you're going to find is you're going to find certain people that are disabled that don't have a lot of mobility issues or don't have that have a means but can get there, right?
Yeah.
You'll find people moving.
Well, we always talk about
better benefits.
We always talk about the failings of a food bank. Like for me, the biggest failing of a food bank is the fact that people with disabilities have mobility challenges, right? Yeah. So if I have to like hop on a bus and go, halfway around the world, it sometimes feels to get to a food bank. Do you think I'm gonna do that? Hop on a bus and travel for half an hour or more,
or an hour,
or an hour, and then like have all these bags of groceries, back on the bus.
But not even having nutritional food that's actually at the food bank, because some do, some give
Yeah.
really good food, other ones don't. But here's the other kicker is I remember talking on a previous podcast with you, Neil, on this, and I gave an announcement. I think Joseph, you were actually on our roundtable at the time, and when I heard this devastating news that was given to Sonia and myself from some people that we know that moved here about 2 years ago, they've only got another 14 days to go, and they're going to be in the air. 14 days from now, they'll be actually in the air. They'll be on their way to Winnipeg. Why? Because they can't afford to live in this province. They need to now find another additional room, should we say, in their apartment, because they have a little child now. So they need extra room. They can't find anywhere affordable within Victoria under the apartment that they're in, which is great. I mean, they're keeping the rates. They're still very high, just so everyone knows, $1,750. Okay. They're not paying $1,750 right now. They're paying $1,550. Okay. But if they were to move out of their unit, the landlord's now going to make $1,750. That's only within the property management company that they're renting from. Anywhere outside of that property management company, the rates are $2,500, $2,600. And that's just for a one bedroom in Victoria. They actually round and they said $2,800 for a 2-bedroom. Now, if they were to move outside the region where Neil and I looked at Langley, because that's where we moved from. And right now, the rates for 1 bedroom out there are close to an old building, $2,000. Now, PWD, we get $375. But if you can claim that your rent is actually a little bit higher, they'll give you $125. So now you've only got $500 out of your total support to basically pay for a $2,000 rental. But 2 bedrooms, $2,800. Again, almost the same price as Victoria.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned that, as you mentioned, as we just talked about, is that people are going to have to move further out, even further out in Chilliwack, or who knows? And how the hell do you get your stuff moved? Because the government says under the province of British Columbia, if your rent is substantially reduced, they will pay for your moving costs. Now, you tell me where the rent is substantially reduced in the province of BC. Not. The rents have gone way higher.
I think they want you to us all to like hop on a pink unicorn and ride out on pink unicorns.
Yeah, exactly. That's my concern.
We've reached the top of the hour. It's 2:00 BC time.
We got 15 more minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to spend the 10 minutes to do the closing comments kind of thing. Like if Joseph has like.
I'm trying to post the links.
Okay.
I'm trying to post the links to our YouTube here.
Yeah.
It's giving me an issue for some reason.
And while you're doing that, it's
we can.
I always
once I post it might be easier because it's not officially posted yet. I guess with the stream.
Yeah. Well, that's
why. I mean, in the chat. I'm posting it in the chat here.
Oh, I see it.
So there's.
I got you.
There's the PDF. Finally, the third one. Finally.
Okay.
If you can delete the first two, go ahead, because they're
not
not
correct. To the podcast right now, and that's why I always explain about affordability and that why people should not have to move and make awkward, very life-changing decisions in their life of having to move because the government refuses to give them the proper income, the proper supports, that they are still taxpayers in that province, wherever they may live. If they choose to move to another province because that's what they want to do, they should be able to just go and do, and that income should follow them automatically, whatever province they go to. They shouldn't have to apply for disability in another province. That's archaic. That's old. Old needs to be turned into new. So we need to give people the proper supports. We give them a DERB in the meantime, while the federal government can figure out this. It doesn't take 3 years. It's not rocket science. People's lives don't get put on hold, right? So we need to get this money out that's going to be adequate enough to get the help to the people that most need it the most, right? So is it a time? Yes. Boom. That's my rant.
It won't.
What's your take on that, Neil, while we're just waiting?
There we go.
Oh.
There we go. Finally.
There we go.
It wouldn't let me keep posting a link because it was thinking I was a spam bot for a second there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're not a spam
Um,
bot. You're Joseph.
no,
You're the guy.
I'm not a spam bot, but I'm as annoying as one.
Well,
Oh.
like I said, I'll make sure I post the derb.ca link at the bottom of the video too
Yeah,
when I have it
if
posted
you
out.
go to derb.ca, it's right near the top actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely check out derb.ca for the
Let me
latest
see
link.
I want to describe it to you guys
Report.
just so that way.
Mhm.
Look for the blue.
It's right underneath where it says open for signatures, like the
Yeah.
E4667 is still going.
Okay.
And if you haven't signed it, please do sign it
Yeah.
for the emergency benefit.
Mhm.
But it says PBO costing tool.
And we should say too that we are going to have Mike Maurice on, and we
Oh,
are
right, yes.
going we are going to have the author of that new e-petition. He's going to be coming on with Mike Maurice, Jeffrey Salisbury.
Nice.
They're
I've
both
been
going to be
talking to Jeffrey on Facebook.
Yeah, they're both
Yeah.
going to come on together. So it's
Yeah.
going to be Jeff and Mike together.
And maybe Joseph, if you want to actually come on with them. Yeah, I mean that
I
would
don't
be
want to push too hard because Mike Maurice is introduced his petition and everything. It's official government business. And
right.
I'm running a website about it as an advocacy. Maybe
Right.
not the best decision to put me on the same broadcast as Mike.
Oh,
It could be a conflict of interest.
it could be a conflict of interest.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But it's just everyone listening to it. I mean, this is so informative information for everybody to follow. I encourage you to follow Joseph's derb.ca link.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to find all the information right there. Keep up to date on everything.
Yeah. And a good thing for people to do as well is, like I always say, is if they want to keep up to date on our shows, is to check the PWD Allies calendar. Like for today, I mean, Joseph was a late ad today because actually we had a cancellation. So yeah. I actually killed the show that we were going to do today, and I reposted a new link. A new link for Joseph, and I did the link on both the show calendar and on Zoom, of course. And so, this was like a late ad, like I said, but I made sure that I put it on the calendar. So even like really late ads, so you're always going to be up to date. If you check the calendar, you're always going to be up to date. And I've got lots of links on every video. And if you go to my website, there's lots of stuff there. The daddybentlings.com. There's stuff there to look at.
You killed the show and it magically turned into Joseph.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's it.
Well, I'm glad that I did at least give you guys a little bit of a show. And
it's good.
No, it's fabulous. It's very
important. This report is it's full of warnings. It's full of warnings. It's full of 2017 statistics. It's we don't know for sure what number they're going to use, so we're using the market basket measure, but maybe they used the LICO, maybe they used the LIM, maybe they used something else, right? And then they're talking about, if you look at the disability tool that they got on the PBO website, like the interactive one, the clawback can go as high as 70%.
Wow. And I think you were saying, this is going back a while, Joseph, but I remember you saying that the biggest problem with the CDB is usually when they come up with some kind of benefit, the government always funds it first, right? Yeah. I think it was you that was saying that whenever the government comes up with something to fund, or like a new benefit program, they always fund it first and then work on the particulars, right? But they're doing everything ass backwards now.
Right. But that's why this report came out today.
Yeah.
The fall economic statement is coming up and it's going to be in there.
Okay.
Now they know, but we know to watch that fall economic statement and which scenario are they going to budget in there.
Right. But you know, the reason why the people are listening, they're probably thinking, well, why can't the government just come out with DERB? Maybe you could maybe shine a
Because
light
they're
on.
leaning towards scenario 2, which is the disability tax credit. And they've already given out $600 to all
The
those
pathway
people.
to
They're like, oh,
MAID.
they can wait
Yeah.
for the next one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why would we give DERB when we can give a pathway to MAID?
we can make
If
it.
they were going to give scenario
approved.
1 in the first place, we would have DERB.
Yeah.
If they were going to give scenario 1, we would have a $500 DERB a month right now.
Yeah.
But
That
they're
would
not
be-
going to.
that would be
They're
huge.
going to do scenario 2.
That imagine if they did like $500 would be huge for so many people. Like
Oh, for so many, it would help.
that
It
would
make
be that would literally be life changing. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Well,
sound like
think
a
of
lot.
it this way.
It doesn't sound like a
The
lot. but
average
it's
benefit
huge.
is $9,000 in the smallest scenario. So guess what? That means it's over $500. So why can't you just give them $500?
Right.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you give people money, especially anyone on low income, they're going to be very smart with that money. They're going to stretch that money as far as they can because they know how to budget.
Mhm.
But even if they're frivolous with it, Brent, you know what? So they're frivolous with it. No offense, but you go to work for a living and, my dollars goes to pay for your job. But, I'm not allowed to criticize you on what you buy with your dollars.
Yeah.
So why
Yeah.
are you allowed to criticize a disabled person of what they collect off of the tax dollars that I spend?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's a
Because-
catch-22. Stop
Yeah, because-
complaining about it because it only goes to help our economy.
Exactly, because disabled people still put the money into the economy anyway. I mean, it's you give them extra $500. I mean, gee, they're just gonna put the money back in the economy.
Mhm.
Yep.
That plus that, I mean, wow. I mean, there was a study that was done.
I think Canadians should be more scared at the fact that this thing could encompass 1 in 40 Canadians automatically.
But remember, there
It's
was a
scenario
report
2.
that was out to Joseph there where they gave a whole a group of people $7,500.
Mhm.
And then I think then there was another one that was like I think they were going to do one.
Stockton, I believe, right?
That was
Yeah.
a pilot
Yeah.
project, right?
Yeah. But it,
Wasn't
but
that
it,
Stockton?
yeah, but it could be. Why did they stop it? Because it actually was helping people.
It was
No,
too
they continued
successful.
They continued it. It renewed.
But was it the same group though?
No, they did a different group.
A different
But
group.
I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure that they expanded on that one.
Yeah, I
Why-
think I felt that.
My question is why didn't they give me the money?
Show me the money.
Why wasn't I part of the study group?
That's a good question. Very good.
I want $7,500.
Yeah.
Please.
And what and how would that improve things dramatically?
I'm still waiting for the fucking answer from 2018 from Doug Ford answering me back saying how the fuck was winding down basic income compassionate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still baffled about that. Why would they pull the plug on something that was going to be successful? Because BC said, oh, well, they pulled the plug on it.
They knew it was too expensive.
Yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, apparently it's not working on tourists, so we need to pull the plug on it. Really? Yeah. Meanwhile, they come with a pilot project on it, and they say, oh, yeah, no, we can't do that. So we got to come with a report saying the reasons why it wasn't going to work. So now they came with a report saying, oh, one of the top recommendations, we need to modernize disability and social assistance. We need to modernize the rent. They help me do the rent. We need to and we also need to immediately reintroduce the $300 supplement that
Yeah.
they away.
Well,
So to recap this all,
Yeah.
the maximum CDB benefit that they're thinking of is 21,000. And that's accounting for the 30% extra cost of, being disabled. You're getting both the disabled tax credit. It's non-taxable. It's this, it's that. It's big numbers. $20 billion, 1.4 million people. Then you got scenario 1, or that was scenario 1. Then you got scenario 2, which is the smallest. And that one is just going to be
Peanuts.
296 million or 276,000 people, and $2 billion. And it's taxable to boot. It's taxable.
that's like
Which is
that's like 1/10 of scenario 1,
Basically.
right?
And then take 15% of that away.
Wow.
Top of that, whoa. Okay,
Wow.
so
Right?
it's like me saying
That's a huge difference.
that's
Yeah.
like me saying to you, Joseph. Well, here's $100, but yeah, you say okay, yeah, no problem. Well, isn't that great?
Nah, you don't need 100. You really only need 5.
Yeah, you need $5 out of that 100. But hey, you know what? Look what we did. Look what we did. We actually listened to Canadians.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Not really.
Yeah, that's yeah. I know it's just totally messed up. You know, here's another quick scenario to you is so assuming that they throw it out there in next year, early next year, and they say okay,
Maybe January.
and they say okay, make the announcement, and then the provinces say, oh, we're going to go into an election.
No, it's already law.
Is it law?
It'll
Okay.
just go through the general services. Yeah. It'll just go through the
Okay.
general services account. It won't. This is okay. So we're not like the States where when our government calls an election or, we hit a debt ceiling, all of a sudden our government shuts down. It's not like that. Our governor and council, which is the one that runs our day-to-day operations of Canada, the governor and council runs even during elections and even during, if the budget doesn't pass and, there's no, there's a vote of no confidence and they throw it into an election and there's no budget and there's no money coming, there's still accounts that pay out money automatically because it's legislated. The quarterly estimates for the government actually just recently came out yesterday or today. It was one of the, I think it was this morning too. I was going through those as well. And that account that you're talking about, or that we're talking about, is actually like 128 billion a year in statutory expenditures that get paid out regardless of the government being in session or not.
Yeah. So would it be easiest for the federal government to just go through CRA to issue the payments out to each province? Because they
probably will.
Because they have the T5007, Joseph. Every disabled person has that form. It's a T5007.
It depends on what the regulations are. We still don't know if it's going to be a monthly benefit or if this is going to be a yearly thing. Because if it's yearly, it's easier with the CRA. If it's monthly, it's easier with your local government.
Right.
Because if it's monthly, they already have the infrastructure to do monthly reporting through your social assistance. Where if they go through the federal government, you're opening up a whole new can of worms. Our CRA doesn't monthly attest to anything except for EI.
Right. So if they were to do a monthly, then it would basically, the federal government would then have to send income over to each province, over to their finance department, to then have it distributed out to each recipient, which they still have that information anyway. It would just go to the finance people.
Can you imagine if the federal government did a lump sum?
When you're doing that scenario, there's also more complication. It's what are the clawbacks and who is going to get the money? How much is the province going to be entitled to out of the clawback and how much is the federal government going to be entitled to? And, the PBO also estimates all of these costs at 2% cost for administration.
Okay.
So for every dollar that goes out in benefits, they're only estimating it's going to cost 2 cents out of that dollar to administrate the program. We all know that administrative costs can sometimes go up to 20-30% of a program. So would not surprise me if all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're spending billions of dollars more to administrate it. Oh, sorry, I seen that in 2023.
Yeah, my only concern on it is that if it went to, say, provinces where maybe some provinces are a little bit more, they I don't know, they handle things a little bit differently than other ones, should we say? So it went to the province's finance department, and they go, okay, so here's 20. Just I'll throw a number out there. It's a fictionary number. So here's $15 billion. Okay, that $15 billion needs to go to your recipients, and the government goes, well, maybe we could put this to transportation, healthcare. Well, you know what? Out of that $15 billion, we're going to give the PWD $10 billion out of it, or we're going to keep $5 billion of it as slush fund.
No.
Okay.
No. This will be now. What they'll end up doing is we'll have no control over what they use the clawbacks for, right?
Okay.
They may use the clawbacks from the CDB and go, oh, federal funds coming in. I'll take those funds from you, but I'll renegotiate with you. I'll let you do the CDB, but I get to keep 20% of the clawbacks that you do, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, they're clawing back a bunch of stuff and collecting a bunch of money. Who knows how they're going to do it? I'm only speculating here, right?
Yeah, so that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, it's like they could say, well, like, based on clawbacks, like it's,
I'm assuming that the provinces will try to take their portion of the clawbacks from the program to administer it. And
that's what I meant on that.
Yeah.
Or they'll take money from the federal government to administer it. They'll say, okay, well, we're going to distribute $10 billion worth of benefits. We're going to keep, $10 million of that for administration.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like when they say, well, we get this, but then we're going to claw this off, but we're going to put the money to healthcare, we're going to put the transportation, but we're just going to give this out because we're going to claw off this. Yeah, that's what my main concern would be on that.
Now, my main concern is what they're going to do with the social services money they spend now. And if the CDB lowers what the social assistance is now or expected to raise later, and they hold that back to use on different infrastructure and stuff and hurt the population while just trying to have more goods in the province.
Yeah, because I mean, they might just go a year and they say, okay, yeah, we're going to index it to inflation, but we don't actually have to increase their rates also as we're going along with it. They may say, we're going to skip a year, 2 years. Oh, there you go. Here's $25 or here's $50.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I was gonna say we have two people in chat. We have Alan in chat.
Hi,
and he just says thank you to Joseph for your appearance today. He really enjoyed the topic. And then we have Mr. Wallace that just popped in.
Hi, Mr. Wallace.
And Mr. Wallace says it's a supplement benefit. There won't be clawbacks from what I read, he said. And so, but your point, Joseph, is that point is that there could be disguised clawbacks.
No, not disguised at all. Not disguised at all. It's right here in the report.
Mr. Wallace, the government loves to use pink unicorns, so they love to claw things back across the country. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe that will change. Maybe with all this new CDB, that will change.
Well, I know where Mr.
All the models have clawbacks.
Yeah.
There we go, Mr. Wallace. Yeah.
And I know where Mr. Wallace is probably thinking because we have Mike Maurice and you have Benita Zerillo. Those two are always saying like there shouldn't be clawbacks, but just because those two people are saying there shouldn't be clawbacks doesn't mean there won't be any.
Yeah,
right.
In a reality world, we don't need clawbacks. And I'm hoping that Mr. Wallace, that you're right, that there is no clawbacks going forward. Because
the PBO is estimating that the clawbacks are going to be 50% for the disabled person and 25% for the spouse.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ouch. And that's going to
hurt. If your spouse goes out and earns $40,000, you might kiss your CDB goodbye.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which is just as bad as the current social assistance system. Well, like, what's the difference? It's the same shit.
It's
the same shit, different pile.
Benefit.
Yeah. Same shit, different pile. Yeah. I mean, rather than we'll just shovel it over to another pile and say, but look what we did.
Yeah.
You wanted CDB, right? No, we wanted Durban in the meantime. Well, no, I'm sorry. We can't.
They're saying that the maximum benefit is $21,000, and that's accounting for the 30% increase that cost of being disabled, right?
Yeah.
So if the maximum benefit is $21,000, and the maximum the lowest clawback is 25%, that means that no Canadian under 80,000 or over 80,000 is going to see this thing.
Yeah.
But they're going to say, look what we did, though. Poof.
Yeah.
That's magic.
Look at all the unicorns.
It's not going to help.
Look at all the pretty unicorns.
They're going to be running amok everywhere then.
Yeah.
And then the government say, uh-oh, what did we do?
So many pretty pink unicorns.
Yeah. I'd love to have you back on again, Joseph, doing another episode as a follow-up to the...
We need
the report?
The next episode I want to do with everybody,
Yeah.
I want to explain clawbacks.
Okay. Sounds great. I
I
love
want to explain.
I like that one.
This will be good. This will be
I
good.
want to explain why they do it,
Mhm.
where the money goes, but also I want to explain what happens when you claw back a raise.
Mm. This will be interesting. Very interesting.
Well,
Most people don't think about how these clawbacks really do change people when they are in minimum wage jobs, when the minimum wage goes up, as well as also when benefit rates go up and the clawbacks are there. How does that change it, right? Like if your benefit rate is frozen for 5 years, like Ontario Works has been,
right?
What's the difference between what the rate should be now, what the rate should be, or what the rate is, and how much that clawback difference is? How better off would a person at minimum wage be if those raises would have been consistent?
Yeah. Right, because the buying power, it just erodes away. Like, and to keep
exactly.
It's like clawback. It's like a huge clawback. So now,
but it's not just clawback to you.
No, exactly.
It's a clawback to every person who signs on to that program later.
Yep. It's a domino effect.
And that's my biggest beef with the clawback too. Is like, of course, I'm a victim of clawback, and I hate the idea that it's like, let's rob Peter to pay Paul. I mean, that's what's going on, right? It's like, well, you don't deserve your survivor's pension, but we'll claw the money off you so we can pay somebody else something, And it's like, that's just, I don't know, it pisses me off,
It pisses me off too, but we have to keep in mind, clawbacks are there for a reason. If they did not exist, right? Your survivor's pension would be your survivor's pension times your population and no in between, right? It would be every time there's a raise in the program or a raise in the benefit, it would go up that much for everybody and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, costs are out of control. And that's what the clawbacks are there for. They're also an incentive to go back to work, not rely on the government. Because if you don't put that barrier in there, people would just stay on the program. And that's what they worry about with universal basic income, is that thing else. And that's because they're afraid of it, because there would be no disincentive towards another person that's in a different situation that doesn't have that.
Right.
The reason I like GLBI and why we should talk about these clawbacks is because the lower the clawback is, the more people will be involved, but also a better incentive for later on's math.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yeah, but I'm gonna say something kind of morbid and pessimistic again, Joseph, and that's that. If they're gonna F me over with a clawback, I want the government to F over everybody equally. You see what I'm saying? So if they're gonna claw me back, why don't they just claw back everybody and say, you know what? There's no income exemptions. We're just gonna F over everybody and make that equal. You mean like then I would actually be more happy, because it's like,
kind of like their pensions.
You know what I don't see? I see clawbacks on government benefits, but I don't see clawbacks on paychecks.
Exactly.
If it was reversed, it would have been eliminated long ago.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, if a lot of the MLAs or MPs or MPPs or whoever, or city councilors, or whoever, if they had all these clawbacks, oh my gosh, like how that would be, the system would be changed so quickly. Like it would be saying, no, we can't have that.
Yeah.
If an MPP had to give up a portion of their salary for every dollar they earned on TV or investments or the stock market or housing or whatever they did, if they had a clawback for their salary, it would totally change.
Things would change much, and that's kind of goes exactly parallel with when I say that it doesn't affect their life. So that's why, and it affected their life. Oh yeah, like we'd be having less
Government
pink,
funds, why not?
yeah, we'd have less pink unicorns. I know, Joseph.
More bullhorns.
There you go.
More bullhorns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or more. Yeah, exactly.
But we should be punching it out now.
Yeah.
But this is a great discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I look forward to.
I punch out.
I look forward to the episode about clawbacks.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do one about clawbacks or the official word offsetting.
Yeah,
They like to call it.
we'll get that one scheduled in for you.
Yeah.
I love how they like to call it offsetting. Like, like it's just, it's a little offsetting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well,
Thanks
it's a few $1 billion.
It seems so harmless when they say it like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in today. This has been an awesome episode. I'm talking about the CDB, what's going on, scenario 1, 2, 3. It's going to be an interesting situation. It's going to go forward. Which one is it? Door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3?
This time it's number 1 that the government's going to try to avoid.
Right.
Yeah.
And number 2 will be very detrimental to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Families, not just the disabled person. It's going to be detrimental to families. Because it's all based on family income.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's just, instead of just pulling down one person, you got to pull down the whole family. Government, you got to pull everybody down.
Yeah.
So everybody, hashtag say no to scenario 2.
There you
That's
go.
Say no. Just say no to number 2. People watching this, just put it on your own social media. Just put a hashtag. Say no to number 2. CDB. Number 2. Say no.
Yeah, say no to number 2 CDB.
CDB. That's right.
Go.
A hashtag. And we'll put that out there, Joseph. Maybe we'll get it trending.
There you go.
Say no to number 2 CDB.
Say no to number
Just
2.
say no. Say no. Number sign. Say capital letters. Say capital N. Say no.
Well, we can't use the hashtag in the number.
No,
because then it's 2 hashtags. So we have to spell out. It has to be
In
number
right there.
to
Yeah,
the word.
yeah. Say
Right
no.
there in the chat. It's in the chat.
There
Okay.
you go. There you go. That's good. Yeah.
You can just copy and paste that over, and then we'll pop.
Yep.
But we'll get that trending, and people understand what's going on here, and we can put pressure on the.
People need to understand scenario 2 is 1/10 of the size of what they should be doing.
Mhm.
Yep. And it's very detrimental, not just to the individual, but to the whole family household.
Not to mention the average benefit is doubled in scenario 1 compared to scenario 2. We need to say no to scenario 2.
Say no. Just say no. Say no. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joseph. That was good.
Thank you very
folks.
much, Joseph, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you
Thank
everyone
you.
for tuning in today. This has been a great episode, and we'll stay tuned to the clawback episode. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.